Hello and welcome to the latest series of Stories of China retold in English. My name is Chloe and today we will be studying the Goodwill of the Daughter of the Lord of Heaven. Phew, what a long title. As usual, in this lesson our aim is to be able to condense this story and then retell it during a conversation with an English person. Throughout the series, we have explored the different circumstances in which we might tell these stories, including talking to an examiner, a close friend, and a young child. We have practiced PowerPoint presentations, poetry recitals, and classroom talks. Today, you are going to retell the Chinese story for an English school assembly. This assembly will, number 1, explain what the Lantern Festival represents in China. Number 2, tell the story of the Goodwill of the Daughter of the Lord of Heaven. Number 3, share a game, riddle, or other information about the modern traditions of the Lantern Festival in China. It should last 5 to 10 minutes in length and should appeal to teenage students. So your first task for the lesson is to find me at least 5 facts about the Chinese Lantern Festival. You can use our storybook, the internet, or other sources to gather information. It is likely that the children in England will know very little about the festival, but try to keep the facts interesting. Focus on when it occurs in the lunar year, what it represents, why it is important, and how people celebrate. Take around 15 minutes to find as many facts as you can, and these will be very useful later. Once you are finished, come back and let's compare our answers. Go. Hi! Okay, have you found your facts? Yes? Great, me too. This is what I found. Give them a read and see if you have anything similar. Number 1. In China, they have 2 calendars. The normal Western calendar, which we are all familiar with, and the other one called the lunar calendar, which is special to China. Number 2. Finding the date of Chinese New Year requires some complicated calculations. In most cases, it falls on the 2nd new moon after the winter solstice. In the Western calendar, the winter solstice is around the 21st of December. That's why Chinese New Year typically occurs in late January or during one of the first 3 weeks of February. Number 3. This is an age-old calendar that dates back over 5,000 years. Today, the Western calendar is used in China for work purposes and day-to-day life, but the Chinese New Year is still celebrated in a huge way, similar to the English Christmas and New Year period. Number 4. The Lantern Festival is celebrated on the 15th day of the first month in the lunar calendar each year. Number 5. Solving riddles is one of the oldest traditions of the festival. Riddles are written on pieces of paper and hung from lanterns, so visitors may attempt to solve them. Guess the correct answer and you may win a prize. Number 6. People eat traditional sweet dumplings called tangyuan. One of the most common recipes for these dumplings is made with a walnut and sesame seed filling and served in a sweet soup. The round shape is supposed to symbolize family unity, wholeness, and completeness. Number 7. Some people consider the Lantern Festival to be similar to that of Valentine's Day in the West. It became popular in the Tang and Song dynasties as a day for matchmaking and love because it was one of the few times that young single ladies were allowed to go outside without a strict curfew. The brightest lanterns were considered the best at attracting luck and love. Number 8. Other traditions include setting off fireworks and firecrackers, lion and dragon dances, and releasing a red lantern into the sky, which symbolises the letting go of the past and embracing the new. Number 9. There are many stories about where the lantern traditions came from. Some include Buddhist monks. Some include Dongfang, the fortune teller, who predicted fire in the city, and also the one we will learn today. So now you have 9 facts, which I think will be very interesting for foreign friends, especially the parts about how China has 2 calendars. This is something that not many people outside of China will know about. You should take notes of any of these facts if you don't already have them written down. So, we will use some of this information later when we write our assembly script, but now we should turn our attention to the story of the goodwill of the daughter of the Lord of Heaven. By now, we know that the story is too long to recite without using notes. We should make it much shorter, especially if we want to keep everybody who is attending our assembly interested and engaged. As before, we are going to condense the story. It should be around 350 words in length. Today, I'll not give you points and questions to focus on. I think that you can pick out the most important parts from the book and create your own summary without my guidance by now. I will give you my example once you've written your own. Take as long as you need. When you are finished, press play. Hi! Well done for doing that without my guidance. Let's see what you have. Okay, my version goes like this. Long ago, in the deep forests of China, there were fierce monsters that would attack the surrounding villages and destroy anything in their paths. The villagers decided to get rid of these evil creatures and so got together to kill any unknown beast that was a possible threat. We should note, not all strange animals were dangerous. One day, a hunter came across the most stunning large bird whose plumage enthralled all. But as it was an unfamiliar being, the village decided it was safer to slaughter it. This was a mistake, because this was the Lord of Heaven's favourite pet, which had lost its way in the human world. When he found out what had happened, he flew into a rage and ordered his warriors to destroy the villagers' homes with fire. Fortunately, his daughter was kind and didn't want to see these innocent people suffer. Consequently, she risked her life and descended to earth, warning the people of the upcoming inferno. Panic ensued, but one old man stepped forward with an idea. He suggested that, on the day of the attack, the villagers hang up glowing lanterns and set off fireworks and firecrackers. In this way, the Lord of Heaven would see the fire-like scene and think they have already been punished. This worked, and on the day of the conflagration, the heavenly warriors passed by without attack, all thanks to the warning from the compassionate daughter of the Lord of Heaven. To this day, the people of China celebrate the Great Burning every year on the 15th day of the first month of the lunar calendar. This special Lantern Festival pays tribute to the goodwill of the daughter of the Lord of Heaven. Other traditional stories also have been passed on through the generations, and all of them continue to pass on the creative and imaginative characteristics of ancient Chinese people. So this is my summary. It's not very long, at just over 300 words. However, it could be shortened just slightly because it is going to be a part of our assembly, and the whole thing shouldn't be longer than around 10 minutes. This time though, I don't want you to worry about the word count. I want you to think about the time it will take you to relate the tale. So your next task is this. Rehearse telling the story within 1.5 minutes. The tale should flow coherently and it should be engaging. When you are speaking publicly, especially to an audience of a similar age to yourself, you should try to use language that your peers are familiar with. You could add some rhetorical questions, as the rhetorical questions don't require answers. For example, what do you think happened next? Or, can you believe it? These questions engross the audience further. Also, use expression in your voice and face and make the audience believe that you are excited to tell the story. So, to summarize your task, retell the story and time yourself. You have 1.5 minutes. Use familiar language where appropriate. No need for complex vocabulary. Use rhetorical questions. Use expression. Rehearse this until you are confident to retell it without notes. Come back to me when you are done. Off you go. Okay, so how did you do? So this 1.5 minute story will form just one part of your assembly. As I mentioned before, the structure of the whole assembly should include an introduction and explanation of what the Lantern Festival represents in China, the retelling of our story of the goodwill of the daughter of the Lord of Heaven, the sharing of a riddle or other information about modern traditions of the Lantern Festival in China. We have all the information except the riddles or games element. So, because I am so kind, I thought I would share with you some of my favourite English riddles. Maybe some of them could be used as your next Lantern Tiger on Chinese New Year. Feel free to pause the video if you'd like to try to solve the riddle before I give you the answer. Here we go. What's full of holes but still holds water? A sponge. It works hard all its life, counting numbers day and night, but it never gets past 12. What is it? A clock. What gets wetter as it dries? A towel. Because it dries you. Get it? Which is faster, hot or cold? Hot's faster. You can catch a cold. What belongs to you, but others use it more than you do? Your name. Feel free to go back and write down your favourites. Or, if you know any better ones, you can use those in your assembly. Okay, so much for our final task. You are going to compose and then deliver to an imaginary audience your assembly. For today's class, I will assume that you have not delivered an assembly in English before, and so I will guide you through the structure by giving you some starting sentences and areas to focus on. I would suggest that you create cue cards rather than writing down word for word what you are going to say, mainly because it encourages you to speak aloud and takes your focus away when you read from the paper. In a moment, you will see a series of sentence starters or areas to focus on. Take your time to answer these and note down what you will say to your audience. Keep it concise and light-hearted. Once you have finished composing your assembly script, so to speak, you should start to practice the speech. The whole thing should last about 10 minutes. When you are completely confident, why don't you call a member of the family to come and watch? And certainly ask them to record you. I would love to see what you have produced. Okay, here is some guidance to help you structure your assembly. Once you have finished one part, allow the video to play to the next. See you soon. Okay, how did you get on? Let's do a checklist to see if you met the success criteria. Number 1, did you speak to the audience confidently and clearly? Number 2, did you look up from the cue cards and give the audience or camera eye contact? Number 3, did you speak with expression in your face and voice? Number 4, did you use rhetorical questions every now and again to engage your audience? Number 5, did you keep the speech light-hearted? If you can answer yes to these, then your assembly was most likely a success. Well done. Please send it to the address shown. We'd love to see your work. Today, you have not only learned how to summarize a story, but you've also studied how to compose and structure an assembly for students in the UK. Who knows? One day soon, you might be called upon to do this for real. That's it for today's lesson. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.